great tools out there. So the optimization process, you can test all kinds of things, but the most important part of this thing, though, once you get to a point where you think you're comfortable is, you got to do it like a dress rehearsal, including your substitutions. Practice them, right? So run through a game and make the rotations happen. Make sure maybe you have a serve specialist has to go in, right? And the typical serve specialist for the middle blocker, libero, flip-flop dance, right? That's really complicated. Players haven't done that. It's a big mess. Because behind the 10-foot line, in front of the 10-foot line, all that stuff, right? You got to make sure they're entering and exiting properly. And so do that whole choreography. Make sure it really works, right? Test it out. Your preseason game or tournaments that are not part of your regular league scoring, test it out there. See if it works. Review the videos, right? Check it out, and then start making adjustments. Check off what worked, what didn't work. Right? And little by little, increment your way to a system that really, really works for your team. And again, it's a very, very iterative process, and I think if you can communicate to your team and let them take on more responsibility, the whole process just occurs much more quickly. Any questions at this point? All right, so one more topic. I'll just leave this up here. One other thing that the product does is a concept called matchups. It allows you to look at your team versus your opponent. So you create a plan for your opponent, just like we did, and then it shows up opposing the other team. So in the system, this is useful when you're going to see your opponent more than once, right? So we're going to go to this matchups page, and you can see right here. Okay. So here's the opponent above, and here's us below. I don't have a formation for the guys below, so that's probably why we're not seeing this. Let's see receive. Okay. And then you can slide your rotations by each other, and then say, well, what if we put rotation 3 against rotation 4? Does that give us an advantage? Right? Who's blocking who? We can go from offense and defense, serve to receive. These are a lot of permutations. If you do this by hand, you will die. And particularly if they flip-flop their hitters, then you're hosed. Okay? So, so what we're trying to actually do is we're trying to get this whole thing packaged as an iPad app. Right now it's a website, so you have to be connected. You can use an iPad, but you got to be connected. Soon we'll have an iPad version, so you can actually have this courtside and be able to make the little changes that you need to. And as an iPad owner, it's especially very frustrating for me because, we're like this close to getting it done and we're still not quite there. But the good news is because I'm a coach, I'm making demands and I'm trying to make designs to kind of make this thing a little bit better. So kind of incrementally working ourselves to the point of having the right kind of product that all of us can use. And, cost effective, time efficient. We don't want to make this thing expensive. We want to save you a lot of hours. Because I can save myself a lot of hours. I'm spending way too much time doing volleyball right now, and it's too manual, right? So there's layers of optimization things we're going to be doing with the next set of software releases to make this thing better. And this is just kind of the beginning. Yes?
Can you share with us maybe a stat sheet that you like to use for per rotation information that you're using during the match?
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
Maybe just one.
I don't have a good one
Okay.
in the match. Because I usually don't have help, and if I look down, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I'll set up something here. Maybe to answer another question. I'll show you something that might be interesting to you. Any other questions?
Can you change the color of the arrows?
The color of the arrows, the answer is no. We can change the color of the players so that you can do school colors if you.
I'm thinking more, you got 3 hitter lines and a setter line. I want to make the setter line a
different
color.
Yeah.
So I don't get confused looking at the hitter.
It's a good request. We'll have to write that down. Yeah. Any other questions?
I got one.
Yes.
Do you, and this is, again, because you know some physics so well.
Oh, be careful.
Probably better than me. But what is the advantage that you see in terms of going setter middle as opposed to setter outside? And in terms of rotations, is it harder to go setter middle in terms of finding efficient attacks as opposed to setter outside?
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. I actually had a situation like that. And so let me give you an example. In fact, it'll be in the packet, and if you guys email me, I can get you kind of a full set. The prior example I used to use was from my JV team, where I had a tall girl, who's the second tallest girl on the team, who had good hands. She was very effective hitting out of the middle, not so great outside. And she was one of the only two girls that really penetrated the net. I needed her in the middle. So the question was, how do I have her set, block middle, and hit middle? Right? And so what we ended up doing, well, I'm not answering your question, I'll get to it in a second. But what we ended up doing was we had another setter who was 5 feet tall, and the other middle was 5'11". So we did this thing where the two middles set. So the middle blocker came back around, got subbed by the short setter. The other girl just stayed on the court and continued to play middle. Then we used our libero to sub for the opposites, who were pretty stinky on the court in the back row. Right? So we got them off the court. Because, it's JV, right? You get what you get, and, they could kind of keep themselves out of trouble with the right front area. So that's how we kind of optimize that. But to answer your question, the issue about being in the middle is really one of, do you run a fast attack or not, and how reliant are you? And compared to your pin hitters, what I find is, here's a stat, okay? If you carefully stat your teams and check your outside hitters, unless you're, and this is at the high school level, mind you, okay, so this is not about college, but at the high school and kind of JV level in high school, your hitters are hitting 0, okay? I know this because I've statted, right? They're hitting 0. They're hitting 3 in and 3 out, and the rest in the court, okay? So that's not the place where you're actually going to make your money, contrary to the whole notion of sitting your outside to terminate the play. What I do is I terminate the play out of the middle. I try to wait it out till I can get a pass to the middle, and I put the ball in the middle, because the middle hits at 400. It's very easy to get a middle hitter hitting 400. They do not have to hit the ball. In fact, it's better when they don't make good contact. Okay? Paintbrush kills count. Backspin is hard to dig. Because you don't train for backspin digs. I guarantee you don't do that. Right? So the ball goes up and it goes down. Right? It goes. It's ugly as hell, but you know what? You win. Who cares? Right? And that person, over time, gets good. I mean, they actually start making contact consistently. But it's really a surprise attack, right? When the middle hitter doesn't even know where the ball's going. How are you going to take that ball? It's a random sampling thing, right? It's beautiful. It just kind of goes anywhere. But that's the advantage of having a setter off to the side. And most of the time, your setter's not that tall, so not that great blocking. I think that's the single biggest disadvantage I see, is that you need somebody who's going to get across the net. Or you take the other plan, which is something else I also did, was I statted my outside blockers who were about 5'5", 5'6". You know how they block? Straight up. Where's the ball go? Not on their side of the court. If you make contact, it's on your side of the court. And usually someplace where you can't dig the ball. Right? I statted like 3 matches. We touched the ball 10 times. We were 100% scored for the opposition. So I said, you know what? There's no point in me training you because, you're a JV player. You're never going to play front row on the varsity team. You're going to have to become, good ball handlers because you just can't do that. The varsity level play is too high and they hit really hard. So I said, we're going to stop blocking on the outside and we're going to use our nickel-back defense, right? 5 people, pass protection, right? So what you have is you have a defender, right, sitting right behind the right side hitter. So the middle blocker does everything, okay? So middle blocker covers the whole court, and then, we got a short person here, right behind, in zone 2. And then the right back plays deep. Because you know what, at this level of play, when they crush the line shot, where's it go? At least 20 feet into the court. It doesn't go to the 15. I'm sorry, they don't have that kind of angle. They may hit it hard, but it usually ends up in the last 3 feet of the court. The person just stands back there just all day long. So we realize one other little trick about this, okay? If you're not blocking and you're running a 5-1, where should your setter stand? In the front, at all times. So what we would do is, when we're serving, the right side player would stand like this, right? And then, as soon as the ball starts, she'd go like this. And then she disappeared to the back corner. And the setter would come in front of her, right? But the beauty of it is, you dig the ball, it goes right to the setter. The setter only moves about 3 feet, and we transition to the middle. We don't set the outside, we transition straight to the middle, right? Then we're done. Kill, out, got the point. Right? So all these things you got to think about from the numbers that you have and looking at the way you're playing, understand your lead, the things you have to do, the things you can get away with, right? And don't get stuck, you know, in the templated thing. What I see happening a lot is I feel like, you know, coaches are applying NFL offensive techniques to Pop Warner. You know, that kid's not going to throw the ball 50 yards. You know, and nobody's that fast. You know, they can't run these patterns, right? Well, why are we doing this in volleyball? It's crazy. You know, we don't have the ball handling skills. We don't, you know, the game's just not played that way. So why not play a different kind of game depending on the level of the skills that you have and run your formations accordingly, right? Tune, right, your formations and offenses and defenses to your team. And really look at the numbers carefully and see where the opportunities are. Because I think if you start just taking single stats about certain things, you're going to start to realize, right, where are you making your money? And I almost guarantee you, most of the teams that kind of mid-level play, it's not happening on the outside. And you got a player like that, they usually get, you know, moved off of your team to some other team. You know, that's what happens to me all the time. It's like, oh, yeah, we need her. Thank you. I trained her for the last 3 years, but it's okay. Any other questions? All right, I want to show you something just as a little sneak peek. This will go into beta pretty shortly. Because I coach alone a lot, and it's almost impossible to do in-rally statistics while you're coaching and still coach, right? One stat that a lot of you may take are called exit stats. It's the stat you take for what terminated the rally. So in this case, you know, we have the dots on them, so they have the ball, it's 19, so number 4 makes a kill, and we enter that. Okay, that happened after the whistle blew. So you're watching the game, whistle blows, you look down, go tap, tap, right? How many strokes was that? Right, 3 keystrokes, okay? And then, you know, we generate this big old log of all the things, but that's not what's important. The real key thing is here, okay? Look at the stats on the right side. Those are side-out statistics for both you and them, on the fly, right? So you can realize that, man, today, rotation 2, wow, what's taking a beating right now? Rotation 6, they're actually doing really poorly there. Let's see what we're doing. Let's go down the page. What are we doing? All right, so we're doing really bad in rotation 6. Okay? So we're not siding out much at all. And then you can start looking at why. And you can sit here and say, you know, let's look at the errors. What kind of errors are we making? Right? Okay, free ball pass problems, blocking problems. And then you go by player and look at who's giving you points, who's giving away points, right? Taking your points. And you can look at their players too. Okay? And again, same thing here, you can go into and look at the details of exactly what are the problems that are going on. The nice part of this kind of stat is I've had a prototype of this running for over a year now. And it's very directed for practice. You can look at the simple errors that are easy to correct. I call them the cheap fixes. Right? It takes about, you know, 15 minutes to say, you know what, they dumped on the ball, us the ball 3 times. Right? That was 3 points we lost. All because we pulled back too fast on the left side. So let's practice staying there until you know that set's, you know, coming up as a set, not a dump, right before we drop back. Okay, simple stuff like that. And you can train that in 15 minutes. It doesn't take very much time. Right? Rather than, again, trying to make your skills better, right? Passing better, that's an investment you make. It's a little bit at a time. You know, you get better over time. But little things that you can fix here, you know, like somebody's, you know, spiking well, but making a lot of down ball errors. If they're doing this thing and boom, you know, ends in the net. Let's work on that. Or maybe you ought to just bump the ball next couple of times. Just bump it deep, right? So that it looks a little bit offensive. Okay.
Can you make an app for that?
This will be an app. This will be an iPad app. So if you're interested in beta testing this, you know, send me email or just grab my card. Because we do want as many people as possible helping us out. And the part that we're really interested in is what kind of reports do you want to see? Because we realize as we're collecting this data that you can actually generate a lot of different interesting reports just off of this stuff. And it's not the in-game stuff, so we won't give you, you know, it won't give you hitting efficiencies, it won't give you all the pass and serve ratings, right? But it'll give you a lot of information because every single thing that's noted here is an action that terminated a rally, right? You're either gaining a point or losing a point here. So these are results that occurred, okay? Yes?
Can you show how you match up your rotation to that of the opponent?
Where was I? Oh, I'm losing track here. Yeah, here we go. So the lower screen is us. The upper screen would be typically your opposition. This is where it's helpful to colorize things so you don't mix up, who you're looking at. But then you can just flip-flop your serve and your receive down here, or your attack, right, for all the options here. And then you can also shift them so that you can go, say, 6 against 4, or whatever the shifted combinations are. This is very useful in high school when you're seeing another opponent, or college, definitely, when you're scouting reports. Because the permutations on this thing are unbelievable. And we're also trying to get this thing on pads so that you can have it game time. Because we have coaches using this right now. They printed out stuff. And it's like, they tell me, they changed jerseys. And jersey numbers. And imagine it's like everything just went out the door. All that preparation. So it's good to have these things live, real time.
You draw lines across from your side to the opponent's side?
No. It turns out that's a pretty hard technical problem for us, the way this thing is coded, and it would really require us to kind of redo the product. It's a little bit like each of those court spaces is their own contained area, and if we try to draw it out, we have to create a new space. Got a question in the back?
So is there a scouter report option where you can write notes and stuff like that for a printout after you do something like this?
There are actually notes on every page to the side, up over here. So every single page you can actually make notes. And again, once we have the pad version working, then you'll be able to carry it with you. You won't need connectivity. Right now, because it's a website, it is necessary for you to have some kind of connection. Otherwise, when you refresh it, it'll just die. But if you have a connected iPad, it works just fine.
How long until it comes out?
Well, we'll have a beta on this probably in the next month. So again, if you're interested, definitely email me. I'd love to have as many people, help us out. We had, for our pro product, we had about 100 coaches helping us out. And it really made a difference because we found a lot of different bugs and, issues that came up, and it made a huge difference in getting the product, solid.
How about iPhone?
Excuse me?
iPhone app?
iPhone is a form factor issue mostly. All these things will actually run, but it'll be kind of microprint, so we have to actually figure out a way to resize everything. My partner is very interested in doing that for the exit statter, but we got to be really clever about how do we switch the screen so you can see, just the right amount. It's possible, it's doable, but we have to do one thing at a time. So we need to make this beta thing solid, get that frozen, shipped it, and then we can think about what the next step is going to be. Yes.
How would you compare that to the volleyball ace? Because I was just looking at that, and I've never played around with it.
It's different. It's different because volleyball ace and iVolley stat are primarily in-game statistics, which means you're tracking serve, receive, dig, attack, all those things. And that requires you to have people dedicated to doing it. Because I have all those products. There's no way I can do that. The only time I use them is actually video, because it's hard to do that in game, and so you got to kind of dedicate 2 people. One's a spotter, one's an entry person. The reports that come off that stuff is really robust, but it's as good as the input that goes in. So it's a pretty big investment, and that's really the only limitation. It's just getting the data in there. ACE has been around a long time. I've had a copy of that for at least. They've been around a long time. I've had a copy for about 4 years now. But I use that primarily to step up a video when I can stop things. Yeah, but it creates great reports. You get all your box scores and stuff like that right off. So, yeah. Both products are good. iVolley's a good product as well. Any other questions? Okay, so if you're interested, come up and grab a card. Remember, AVCA members, right? The first year subscription is free, so you just go up to the side here, and then you see on the right side here where it says AVCA members, that button, click that, okay? And then you can sign in and get going on this thing. And if you're not a member, you can still get 7 days, free, and if you're affiliated with anybody, USA Volleyball Gold Medal Squared, you get $5 off, so you can get a discount one way or another. And, you know, we're happy to take your feedback, and, you know, if clubs need discounts or whatever, just let me know. Happy to work with you. It's just two guys, so we can do whatever we want. No bureaucracy, you know. No board of directors. It's $30 for the basic version. It's $65 for what's called the Pro version, that does the matchups. Annual. Sorry.
For the iPad, what are you looking at, make that home around the same?
Yeah, the iPad version's likely to be about the same price range, but we don't know yet. And we get feedback from you guys, so you'll tell us kind of what to do. Because we're trying to make it basically affordable, accessible to everybody. And our focus is high school, club, middle school. You know what I mean? It's not really college, but we have so many college users that, you know, we want to provide features for them as well. But they usually don't have the same economic issues, so yeah, the budget and real people. Yeah, in fact, it already mentioned actually. Yeah, I have a Kindle Fire, and it already runs. Yeah, Kindle Fire is a wonderful little machine. $200. $200. I mean, get better than that.
So when I search for it, I have.
No, not yet. It's not released. We're still in the beta process right now. So. We will. So definitely send me an email and tell me what the platform is, and we'll have